How you doing, family? I'm doing this video in order to tighten up on some of the points I wanted to really bring to your attention when I shot the last video. And again, I wanted to add a lot more emphasis to some things I think were pretty critical points in the last video. So and I also had some issues with the screen sharing. I think I had the wrong screen sharing screen or window open at the time when I did the last video. So I want to correct that and kind of emphasize a little bit more some of the key points. Then this will probably be the last video I'll do on this book that is by Erin, Werley, which is I Am, I Create. That's the short title of it. We already went over that. We don't have to. I'm not going to beat this thing to death. We know what this book is all about, and so I just want to bring that to your attention and really get you to focus on some of the more critical points as it relates to the characteristics of the macro being, as well as some of the more important points as it relates to being self-actualized. Okay, so I'm gonna start sharing. Well, let me just hit on this point. One of the things I felt I didn't really emphasize enough, and that is that when you're self-actualized, it's not about being selfish. It's about being self-projective. And you don't do any comparatives with or competition or any, you do some, because, we all are in a homeostasis environment which means we all live in harmony with each other, and we all depend on each other for our general survival, general healthiness, both socially and physically, mentally and spiritually, because we're all connected. So you always want to interact and socialize with other spiritual beings in human form. Okay, and hopefully you can develop some friendships and relationships with others who are also self-actualized and aware and have been awakened. So I'm going to start sharing here and try to focus more emphasis on the aspect of projecting your own judgments and decisions and thoughts as a self-actualized person, as opposed to a human with a being inside of you. In other words, self-actualized, as I mentioned in the last video, to be self-actualized, you are a spiritual being that is functioning within a human form. But the emphasis is on the spiritual, the infinite spiritual being that we are. And this is what the society never teaches. It does not teach you to function and identify with yourself as an infinite spiritual being that happens to be functioning and having this human experience in a human form and interacting with the world through this human form. But at the same time, I don't want to trivialize the human form. And I'm going to continue to try to emphasize that point, because I think I did a lot of heavy emphasizing that the human form is a dumb brute, which it basically is. But this book in particular has given me a far healthier respect and appreciation for what the human form and the function that the human form does, and what the function that the human form offers as it relates to the macro being and us, the micro beings, which really is one and the same. But we as micro beings have been given the illusion of perspective, of individual perspective, or the perspective as individuals by Amma. And that's our purpose, is to function as this individual, that now Amma functions through us and has blessed us with the perspective where we can have the, what's the word, the ability to experience consciousness as an individual, and separate from Amma, or at least have the illusion of the perspective as an individual, separate from Amma, which we're never separated, but Amma has given us this illusion, or Amma uses us as an illusion of separateness from it. It's fascinating, fascinating. This realization to me is absolutely groundbreaking and fascinating. And I want to begin to share and go over, and I'm going to actually play my video and have it take off from where, at a point where I focus and hone in on these aspects, and I'm going to add more meat on the bone for these issues that I just brought up, by critiquing my own movie as I critique the book. I am and I create. Okay, and I'm gonna fiddle-faddle around with the title because it's a very weird, strange title, the way they put it together. So it's very difficult even to recite the thing. It's so weird. Okay, so let's start sharing, and let's see what I can offer you here. Okay, and I believe this is it. Okay, and I'm going to take off from here, and I'm going to stop it. And what I'm going to do here that I could not do in the original filming of this is I had to put slides in, but then my annotation tools didn't work because they were hidden behind the slide that I had to put over the original movie, because when I edited it, I realized that I was actually annotating on a different window that I actually was not sharing with you. I had two of these PowerPoint windows open at the time, and it created some mismatches. Okay, so this is I had to correct that by putting the slides up. So now what I'm going to do is go over these things and annotate so that you'll know where I am when I'm looking at these as I'm speaking to you and making emphasizing different points as I critique the movie, the review of the movie with you. Okay, so let's get going here. And again, I'm bringing this part up because I want to really drum this home into your shift in the way you think about being as a self-actualized being. The most important thing is to function out of your human beingness. It's very important that you function out of that and stay anchored in that we are an infinite spiritual being having a human experience. And that means much more than the simple words that I'm saying. In order for you to fully comprehend what I'm saying, you have to comprehend the fact that what does it mean to be a spiritual being? A spiritual being has no emotions, has no feelings, okay? You don't experience pain. You don't experience loss. Happiness and sadness and loss don't exist for us. We're everywhere all the time. The only time we get to experience being an individual, as we use the term, or a perspective as having the illusion of separation from Ama, the totality, is when we come into this human form. So that's why this human being combination is so important, because this is the only time we can feel things and experience things. And what I love about what Erin Werley did here in this simple 2-paragraph phrase right here, let me get my tool here, where she says here, the question was in the prior, and here Erin's husband is speaking to her infinite spirit through her, and he asked the question, if we are you and you have made us perfect, how do we create these imperfect things? Okay? And the answer that Ama says here is, you are me, and I am an unlimited creator. Okay? That makes you an unlimited creator. Okay? So you're gonna hear this repeated thing, folks, that I am you and you are me. We are one. So that's that coin that I was telling you, that between Ama and the micro, that is us. That's who Ama is talking to. Ama is not talking to the human form. Ama is talking to the micro being that has this illusion of individuality that Ama created, which is a part of itself. Okay, you got to understand that when you see this phrase and this terminology here, that's what's happening here. That's what is actually going on, I believe. Okay, it says you are me and I am an unlimited creator. That makes you an unlimited creator. Okay, so consequently, you have the entire creative power of the universe flowing through you, by use of your thoughts, and your repeated thoughts, that your visualizations and thoughts that you're sending out and seeing yourself already having and already doing, whether they're good or bad. The less thoughts that you put out that you really don't want to put out, that are random in nature and reactive because of something you've seen in the environment, the fewer of those that you put out, the better your world is going to get, because now they're going to be replaced with only the thoughts that you really want and see. Now, here, family, I want to really emphasize this point that you see here, where Ama speaking through this, through Erin. It says that you have the entire power of the universe flowing through you. Okay, now, this is where Erin kind of demonstrates that, and this is very difficult to do, and I'm not putting Erin down, because when you're dealing with Ama, you're dealing with the most complex consciousness that is existence itself. Okay, that created existence. and is outside of existence. So when you're talking about this, family, this is, I cannot overemphasize this. This is mind-boggling rationalizing and analysis. We can do it because that's what this armor is, what we are. But we're trying to express a mind-boggling infinite or the characteristics of a mind-boggling infinite deity. And we're trying to do it through a finite human form, using a mouth and vocal cords and language and words that most people will have agreed you need math, exponential math to really be able to explain it. But in order for me to communicate with you through this video, I have to use my vocal cords and I have to use vocabulary and words in the English language. Okay? So, but it's not going to do justice, but I'm going to do my very best to try to explain to you the magnitude of this statement here, that you have the entire creative power of the universe flowing through you, flowing not through your micro being, but through your human form, in that you have to use your visualization ability. These are attributes of the brain that come with your human form, and you have to consciously project thoughts. You're the only being or entity, deity in human form on earth that can do this. This is the thing, and I'm not going to equivocate about that. In my last video, I was doing a lot of equivocating and second guessing to myself because other people are going to think, well, hell with what other people think. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm not working with what I think and what I hope. I'm working with what I know. Okay, and when you become self-actualized, stand shoulders, get your shoulders back, chest out, head up, and don't seek no permission. And what I don't like, which a lot of great scholars do, is they start mealy-mouthing, thinking about what the critics are going to say. Screw the critics, because the critics' job is to make you doubt yourself. See, because they know what they're doing is a damn lie. But we have to learn, the righteous ones of us have to learn to stop kowtowing and tiptoeing around these filthy critics, because they're doing their job, and we need to be strong and bold and robust about what we do and the way we articulate righteousness. Screw them. This is the facts that I know and I have experienced in my 66 years of living. When you hear the universe say that you got all of you got the entire, it didn't say some of the creative power. It says you have the entire creative power of the universe flowing through you. Okay, now that's a hell of a statement, family. That's a hell of a statement. And we have to give full gravity and full respect and full emphasis to what that statement says. See, and the filthy critics, they don't want you to ever think that you have that much power. See, that scares the hell out of them, because now they can't use you, they can't play you. And once you realize that you have this power, you don't need their goddamn permission. You don't have to suck up to them. You don't have to even speak about them, which is what I'm not going to do. And I'm telling you, you got this power already. And the reason why I bring this up, family, is because the religions teach you the exact opposite. They teach you ain't got no power. You need a white Jesus and his white God, his white father, a man. Could you imagine how jacked up the male human forms have gotten this world into this mess that we're in right now? And they want to try to convince me that the image, the mischaracterization of Amma as a man, the filthiest, the most corrupt, evil human form on the earth, You're going to try to tell me after my 66 years of living and seeing what men, white, Eurasian men have done to this world? That is an insult to both of my intelligence, mainly only to our intelligence. And that's why I throw their Bible, these men that wrote that Bible, I throw the whole damn thing out. Don't need it. Because I got Kaba Kameni. I got Jeremiah Kamara. I got different spiritual teachers. Don't need no religions because they're going to tell you a bunch of lies. And they teach me that I have the power within me. I am the power. And so I am empowered to take charge of my life and forget about everything I learned from those churches and from them religions, because it's all a bunch of garbage. And that's why I'm focusing on this. And I'm bringing this out to your attention, family, because this is the ultimate statement, okay, coming from an esoteric, organically, spiritually motivated and directed and promoting a person who is not looking through no religious lens. They're speaking to you purely from the essence of their spirit. See, and that kind of purity and organic spirituality is very hard to come by, especially nowadays in the age of the Confederates and Trump and the psychopaths. See, their reign is coming to an end, and that's why they're going off, and that's why you have filthy things like the governor of Florida here, where I am, Ron DeSantis, the filthy dictator, he's terrified that his children are going to find out how filthy they have been over the past 20,000 years. And they're Caucasian, they're Eurasians. He's terrified that his girls and his son is going to find out how filthy they have been to the world. See? And how the good Europeans had to kick them out of Europe just so Europe can go up. So Ron DeSantis's ancestors were the filthy ones, the ones that had to get the hell out. And that's what he's terrified. That's why he don't want nobody to wake up. That's why he's anti-woke. They can't even say the word properly. He's so backwards and so much of a troglodyte. He doesn't want anybody to wake up. Anyway, so they're going to go on here. And if you notice here, Erin goes on to say, but what you call imperfection, let me get my annotation tool here, because now I can annotate on this slide where I couldn't do it before, where Erin says, but what you call imperfection comes from the doubt, fear, and belief of lack you've created because you don't have knowing that you are God. Now, I'm going to say it again. This is a part of the gift that Amma has given the micro being in order to allow the micro being to have a better human experience. And to be human is to be imperfect. Imperfect, not perfect. I'm going to back up and I'm going to keep emphasizing this critical, vital point. Amma has 3 attributes. Omniscient, which means Amma knows everything all the time at the same time. Amma is also omnipresent, which means Amma is everywhere all the time and at the same time. And then Amma's third characteristic is that Amma is omnipotent, which means can create whatever it wants all the time, okay, whenever it wants to. Now, omnipresence and omniscience are the two key things that we have to focus on. The only reason we're going to bring up, I should say, omnipotence is because omnipotence speaks to the law of attraction and the law of repetition. Okay, but one of the key things we really have to, two key things we have to focus on is omnipresence and omniscience. Omnipresence and omniscience are the two main things that Alma wants to get away from. Omniscience and omnipresence have, if you really sit back and think about it, imagine, if you will, and this is the thing I really wanted to bring to your attention, family, by doing this third level of critique about this book. And I've given it short shrift both times because in my mind, I'm trying not to overspeak, but I cannot speak about this enough, because you will not fully understand the importance of being imperfect and being able to experience death and being able to experience pain, joy, happiness, love, loss, sadness, mourning, and all of the like, because you have to put yourself, and because you are Alma, you are a micro version of Alma, you can relate to this and you can do this. You can imagine what it's like, because this is actually what we are. This human form throws us off and we've bonded to it, and everything in this existence pushes us to bond to this human form, which is not bad. That's exactly why we're here. But it's very important. You cannot fully appreciate, and this was an aha moment for me, is I have been taught in my spiritual training, because we were so miseducated 45 years ago as African Americans in America, trying to regain our independence and our grasp on our past cultural wisdoms and knowledge, that we kind of overdid, or we just really, we were learning, we were self-teaching, okay? So we had to figure things out. And so a lot of stuff wasn't really readily clear to us. But after 45 years of this, I got it. I got it, family. Trust me when I tell you. If you think of yourself as an infinite being, you can't move because you're omnipresent. That means you're everywhere all the time at the same time. So there is no movement. Time itself doesn't exist for us in our essence. Okay, and we're omniscient. So that means we know everything already. So there's no adventure, there's no discovery, there's nothing that can surprise you. So just those two things alone virtually put you in a conscious prison where you are aware of everything all the time, and therefore you are not focused on any one thing at any given time. You don't have the capacity to focus because you are everywhere all the time. And you know everything. So there's no discovery, and you're not focused on any one thing because you know everything, and you are everything all the time. See, we're so what's the word? We're so impressed by the magnitude of which sounds like a wonderful thing, but in reality, it's not wonderful, family. See, it's wonderful if you can turn it off. But if you can't ever turn it off and you can't ever get away from it, it's not so wonderful, family, I'm telling you. Think about it. You can never not know. And you have no feelings or no emotions at all. You never sleep. Think about that. You never have laughter. You never dream. You never, ever stop being aware. You're always awake. You never sleep. Family, keep this in mind. And you will, as I do now, you will do as I do now. You will value the human experience a billion times more than we have been experiencing it. And let me tell you, it will expand exponentially the quality of your life. A bird singing now has a totally different a sensation and feel to you. Watching animals in nature, talking with other human forms, experiencing love, all of this street macho BS goes out the window when you look at it from the perspective of an entity that can never, ever feel anything. You realize you ain't got no time. You got one life cycle here. But the life cycles are infinite. But you see what Eckhart Tolle teaches is the power of right now. And you have right now. And so you're going to have to let go of this macho street, proud, arrogant. I'm an African brother. I can't show no emotions and feel I got to be tough. You know, all of this foolishness and nonsense, you got to let that go. You got to let that go, family. You got to let that go. Because you're here to feel. You're here to enjoy life. And you can only do that when you are fully engaged and you value what it is to be a fully aware and animated spiritual being and living through this human form, and you fully value the fact that the human form is imperfect. Okay, this is an important thing already have to value, that the human form is imperfect, because you're a perfect being all the time. But Alma is so brilliant. Alma said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel a part of myself off and set it over here. That's just one example of the billion and unlimited rays of Alma's self that it has spawned off. Okay, and each one of those spores is a micro being, which I am and what you are. Okay, and there are unlimited numbers of these micro beings that are everywhere all the time, and they make up the body politic. We make up the body politic of ourselves as Alma. Okay, and we exist because with us, Alma put us in a human form. And the human form now, I realize, is the most important gift that Alma actually gave to itself. And we are the representatives of Alma that have been hermetically sealed to this human form for 100-year cycle. And to avoid omniscience, that is knowing everything all the time, every time we are reincarnated into human form, Alma wipes out its own memory in the micro form, because it can't wipe out The Mac, it can't wipe out its own memory, but it can wipe out the memory of something that it peels away from itself. Because that's a part of its omnipotence. It can create whatever it wants, whenever it wants. So it created a part of itself and put it in. But even though it created a part of itself, it's still perfect. Because every aspect of Alma is perfect. And that's why as micro beings, we can't die either. Because we are extensions of Alma. And Alma is forever. And therefore, we as micro beings are forever. Each one of us. Right? But what gives us the okay? What gives us this special, unique importance is that once we are conceived into human form or incarnated into human form, now we can feel. Now we can experience problems where a perfect being, omniscient, knows everything, doesn't have the capacity to make a mistake. Get your head around that. Family, I'm trying to show you something here. And I get goosebumps when I think I'm really getting it to you now. If you will imagine yourself being a perfect being that cannot escape your own perfection. You are imprisoned in perfection. You are imprisoned in knowing everything all the time. You are imprisoned in your own inability to not be everywhere at the same time all the time. It sounds very romantically wonderful because as human forms, we are we're not human form, but we're in this human form, so therefore we're having the experience as a human, which is finite. And we don't live forever. And we don't remember everything. And we are the exact opposite of Alma. We don't know everything. We forget. We experience pain. We have feelings. We have emotions. Alma don't have none. We don't have none. As micro beings, we don't have no feelings, no emotions. Because none of this stuff is real for us. Because we can't die. But this human form can die. So now, that which most people think is so wonderful about being this infinite being and being so perfect and infallible and knowing everything, which seems so wonderful and great, is actually a prison. Because it's something you can't ever escape, were it not for the human form. And so now that you know you can never die, to be in a human form that can die and experience problems and then also create solutions to those problems, you have to look at the human form totally different and value the human form totally differently. And this is why, as Democrats and as righteous, good, moral, principled, spiritual beings in human forms, we value human life and the ability of the micro beings in human forms, ability to make choices for yourself, because we can never die. But we also do not have the right, and this gets into this whole abortion issue. We do not have the right to superimpose our own individual ideological judgments on other spiritual beings in human form. We don't have the right to do that. But we do have a right to ensure law and order And if we all agree that women, or actually Alma set this up, women decide what human forms get to be born and not get to be born. Women decide to have an abortion has nothing to do with a micro being that is perfect and that has no emotion, has no feelings. You can't do nothing to a micro being. We are God in micro form. And you can't do nothing to Alma. You can't do nothing to Alma/God. You can't do nothing to Alma. You can't do nothing to me. This human form is what I'm using. You can do a lot to the human form, but you can't do nothing to me. So if a woman decides that the human form that she's about to carry has some flaw or is going to mess up something that she has decided she wants to do, Alma authorized that woman, that human form, to make that decision. That was given to that human form by Alma. And so what right does a man, a human form that is male, because he got together with some of his other boys, they're going to decide to superimpose their will on that woman? I'll fight them to the bitter end for that woman, with that woman, against them, to make sure they back off. You don't have the right to dictate and tell no woman what to do with her babies and whatever she want to do. You ain't got no right to that at all. And that's the dumb brute that I'm talking about in this human form here. That's the instinctive intelligence of the dumb brute that tries to force stuff on people because they can. And we're going to make sure we put an end to that. Okay? So that's the difference. There are little nuances to this structure and this order that has been set up. Okay? And each individual has rights. And since we decided to live in a society we set up laws and constitutions and rules that we're going to agree to go by. And what makes us perfect as in human form is that we're going to make mistakes. It doesn't make them evil because they want to dominate and control all women, and they don't want anybody of color to ever have anything. These filthy Confederates like Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump and them, that doesn't make them not so worthy of existing themselves. See, that's the difference between us and them. See, we don't want to wipe them out because they don't want to follow the rules and follow the Constitution and follow law and obey laws. We don't want to wipe them out. But see, they're such dumb, filthy brutes and dumb, and they lack a spiritual element to themselves. They are purely instinctive, dumb brutes. And so therefore you cannot allow them to ever control much of anything. They're too dumb. And the human form is ready to go to a higher level. And we know this because we recognize that they are too dumb and they're dangerous. And no matter how many people they see get slaughtered, they still want to hang on to their AR-15s because they love killing. That's the thing about the dumb, brute human form that has been mutated by the ice. It has degenerated below the normal human, form that lives by principles and morals. These things are immoral and unprincipled and dumb brutes and basically gorillas. They like to force. That's why they like to rape, because they get off on forcing. They're purely functioning out of the instinctive intelligence which don't give a damn either. See, but the micro being doesn't give a damn because that's just the essence of what it is. But the micro being don't do no harm because the micro being always says yes. The difference between a micro being and a dumb brute of instinctive intelligence, the instinctive intelligence always says no. See, the micro being always says yes to everything because it is like armor. You can't do nothing to it. So it doesn't really give a damn. You know, that's why it's whatever you say, okay, let's do that. Okay? But the intuitive intelligence of the micro being is what establishes the moral arc and the principle center that will seek ma'at, which is balance and reason, not too much this way, not too much that way. So the intuitive intelligence, which is distinctly different from the instinctive intelligence, okay? But, so, okay, we have to, I just wanted to make that emphasis about the importance of the human form, but it must be dominated by the intuitive intelligence that operates the micro being, okay, that we are, that can never die. And that's why in our essence, we don't have any feelings either. And that's why there is no, Amma is not watching us. Amma has ordained each and every one of us with the authority to make the choice, to choose whether to allow our human form to do things or not to do things. See, because we can never die, we are authorized to allow that which can die to do what it wants or not to do what it wants. We make that choice. The intuitive intelligence of the human form, of the micro being, we make that choice, and we are the righteous, and to be spiritually aware and actualized. That is the intelligence that we use to control the instinctive intelligence of the human form. But the human form is really what it's all about. That the human form brings adventure, it brings discovery, it brings journey to the whole existence as micro beings in human form. The human form is really what it's all about here in the now. And with this knowledge, I hope that I have given you a lot more wisdom that will help you to appreciate the power of right now. This now moment, we have been taking it for granted because we are so pitifully educated and trained about what we are, who we are, where we are, why we are, and how this whole system works. Okay, I'm gonna briefly go on with this because I need to make the annotations, but that's the point I wanted to make. Let's go. But, okay, that means what you call imperfections come from the doubts, the fears, and belief of lack that you created because you don't have knowing that you are God. Now that's a whole lot that was said right there, folks. And it really was. But again, I'm gonna say again, what they're saying right here with this knowing that it comes, it says, but what you call, it says, but what you call imperfection comes from the doubt, fear, and belief of lack you have created, okay, because you don't have knowing that you are God. And you know what? The fear, the doubt, and the belief of lack that we have created, not we created, the human form created. That's where, Erin is not making this distinction for you. And that's my job, is to add that little piece in there. That fear, doubt, and belief of lack that we have created, the human form created, okay, because see, as micro beings, you cannot create. You can't create doubt. You can't create fear. You don't have the capacity to create a belief of lack. You don't have that capacity because you're armor in micro form. And no matter where armor is always perfect. That's why when you go to sleep at night, when your body goes to sleep at night, because it needs rest, we don't sleep. We go on and we witness dreams because we don't need rest. We don't sleep. We're perfect all the time. See, family, this is very difficult to get folks to understand. The human form has to sleep. The human form creates doubts. The human form creates fear. The human form creates imperfection because the human form is designed to be imperfect. It's designed to create doubt. It's designed to create fear. The human form is designed to have a belief of lack. Okay? And it's designed to not know. That's why he says, because you don't have knowing that you are God. But Alma's not saying that that's a bad thing. This is what you got to understand, family. You're supposed to, not you, the human form is supposed to give us the illusion of not knowing that we are Alma. That's what the human form is designed to do, because Alma don't want to know. Alma wants to experience not knowing. And I said this earlier in 20, 40 movies ago. And I knew it was right what I was saying, but I didn't understand why. I did understand because I always understood that there's a problem with knowing everything all the time. I immediately, when I thought about that, I said, woo, this don't sound like balance, because this sounds like way over here in a world of you can't get away from this. If you know everything all the time and you can't ever get away from it, that's not cool. I can tell you that right now, from a human perspective, that is not cool. It's an extreme, but it's perfection. That's what it's like to be perfect. Gotta understand this, family. But Alma put itself here as us to get away from knowing everything all the time. And we are made to have this illusion of individuality and be a conscious being, having the illusion of separation from Alma. That too is on purpose, so we can have the illusion of being an individual, which is the exact opposite from what Alma is, which is everything all the time at the same time. And that can be a problem. That could be a problem from our perspective as a micro being. But when you're Alma all the time, you don't even realize any of this stuff. But somewhere in Alma's omniscience, there must have been a kernel somewhere in Alma that said, well, what would it be like to not know everything? What would it be like to die, to have the experience of dying? Because I can't die, I'm Alma. I cannot know. I can never not know because I always know everything all the time. And I don't know what it's like to be an individual because I'm everything all the time. See, so Amma somewhere said, well, then what would it be like to be the opposite of that? And so Amma said it's going to peel a part of itself off and put it in a human form. And that's exactly what we are, beings in human form. And when you're self-actualized, you're aware of this and you value the importance of it. Okay? This is one of the most important things. You're aware of it a lot, and you value the importance of it once you become a self-actualized spiritual being. Means you're awake. You have been awakened. And this is what Ron DeSantis and Trump and those filthy things in the religions, they don't want you to wake up, because then you're going to realize your power and they won't be able to control you. That's what they don't want. Okay, let's go on. I think I made my point. That has been said there. More was not said that you need to comprehend because of what was said. Okay, it says, but what you call what you call imperfection comes from the doubts, fears, and belief of lack you've created because you don't have knowing that you are God. Okay? One of the key things I want to point out to you here is that this doubt, fear, and belief of lack, that's part of the gift that Amma has given us, because these are things that Amma cannot do. Amma cannot do these things. Amma cannot have fear. Amma cannot experience fear. Amma cannot experience doubt. Doesn't exist for Amma. And the belief of lack don't exist for Amma. And we were created to allow those things to be created. Amma gave us the authority to make these mistakes, family. And so Amma created the human form that allows the micro being to make these mistakes. That's the correction I want to give here. Because see, when you're talking about the micro being in a human form, we're going to vacillate back and forth. One minute we're talking about the human form, but we're always micro beings. But we're talking about these characteristics and these attributes of the human form as they impact the micro being. And so when you're even talking about this complex relationship of the two sides of this coin, it's easy to make a mistake. And I want to make sure that I don't have you misinterpret the points that I really wanted to make in this video, because of the mishap that I had with the screen sharing. Okay, we see them as negative because we have created negative. Amma don't know nothing about negative and positive. Amma don't know nothing about that. Amma is everything all the time. So Amma is incapable of distinguishing between negative and positive. And notice what it says. It says, you have the entire creativity, but what you call imperfection. Check out what I'm saying, folks. What it says is, but what you call imperfection comes from the doubts, fears, and beliefs and of lack you have created. Notice I'm going to say I created it. I'm going to say you did that. And what I'm not saying is I gave you the authority to make these mistakes. Okay? See? Because you don't have the full knowing that you are God. You are an unlimited creator. And so now, see, when I said in this part that Alma created us so that we could do this, the we is the micro being as it relates to the human form, but the human form is making all of these. It has created the capacity, has given us the capacity to experience. And that's why we say we are infinite spiritual beings having a human experience. And part of the human experience, that experience is very important, because without the human, the micro being and therefore Alma could never experience the capacity to experience imperfection, to have the capacity to experience doubt, to experience fear, to experience belief of lack. Okay, that we didn't create it, but the human form allows us to experience. It is the human form that creates the lack of knowing that we are God. That's why we're here. We want to forget that we are God. And the human form allows us to forget and be imperfect. Okay. Said it over there, and it says it over here. That makes you an unlimited creator. So it's saying you can create things that you really don't want. And that's what you're designed to do. That's what Alma's not saying here. That you are designed to create things that you don't want. Because now through us, it can experience things that it never is not capable of experiencing. See, this is part, family, of when you are couched in your infiniteness and you know you can never die. See, now you can appreciate pain and all these things because you know they're really not real. These are temporary sensations that you are experiencing in this life. And people say, well, I don't believe that. I said, well, okay, go to sleep at night. Go to sleep at night. Go have an operation. Go have an operation and let them cut your leg off or cut something off. And then when you wake up, tell the person, did you feel any of that? And if you couldn't feel any of that, that's because it's not what you are. It's never been a part of you. You were still conscious. You still existed, but you didn't feel any of that pain. How's that possible? Because the body is not you. It's something that allows you to feel these things because that's the other coin over here. You're the micro being inside of a human form a body. And that body has all these feelings and sensations and doubts and scared and fear and love and all these emotions and all that stuff. That's only right here, but it's not really you. You're experiencing it. That's why I say we are infinite spiritual beings having a human experience. These are things we are able to experience because we're connected to this human form. We are not the human form. We're connected to it. We're bonded to it. We were incarnated into it. We cannot escape it unless the human form dies. Because if we leave, the human form will die. Because we're the battery. We have all the power. We bring the power that keeps this human form alive. When you incarnate, you're turning on the lights. And that allows you to feel things and experience things that otherwise you're not capable of experience in and of yourself. You're not capable. That's why this human form was created. This is the lesson, family. You got to understand this. We're so bogged down in matrix of bullshit and lies from these damn Bibles. You're missing the most important things that are going to give you power. To understand you can never die. You can never not exist. But this human form can die, and it cannot exist. It can be mutated and what do you call it? Transformed and disintegrated. Not you, not me. And see, I function out of that knowledge of knowing what I am. See, that's what I'm trying to get you. So then you can appreciate the joy and the happiness and the emotions, all these feelings and this goodness, and you can decide to keep more of those positive feelings happening rather than the negative feelings. The deaths of people in your family is going to happen. You're going to get those sorrow feelings. You're going to get that sadness. You're going to get that sensation of missing that person's presence. And see, family, this is one of the most important things I wanted to emphasize again. This is, again, why Eckhart Tolle, when he talks to you about the power of now, when you realize you're an infinite being, that if you are not in this human form, family, you're everywhere all the time, and therefore nowhere in particular. And you have no feelings, you have no emotions, you have no attachments to any one person or anybody. You have no personality, you have no family. You have no memory of family. All of that goes with the human form. When that human form is gone, family, everybody you ever knew is gone. And there is no sadness. You see, right now you're in your human form, so you can actually convince yourself in your mind. You can create a thought or a vision of some sadness and sorrow and missing and homesickness of a person that may be special to you. But once you're out of this human form, all of that is gone, family. Because you're nowhere in particular, because you're everywhere at the same time. And they even in this book here, you're going to see Erin says that when you die, well, this is what it says metaphorically, you die, because we can't die. But it points out, it makes the point that once you die, you come back into the totality. And it says you are with me and you are aware of everything all the time at the same time. But what it's not telling you is you're not aware of anything in particular anymore. You are no longer aware. You no longer have the capacity to remember any of your family members, period. It's not that the memories don't exist. It's just that you have no capacity to focus on them because you no longer identify as that, whatever that name of that human form was, and all the family that was attached to that human form. You lose all of that capacity to remember any of that. Can't have it both ways. You're either macro or you're micro in human form. You're either or. There is no in between. That's why they say when the human form dies, in a twinkling of an eye, you are reincarnated into your next human form. Because Alma don't have no time for death. Death is nothing but a key to unlock a door into the next life. Alma set all of this up, family. And then when you become self-actualized and you realize that you are always a God, you are always Alma. You can never not be Alma. In fact, you're so much Alma that you have to almost, if you think about it from a human kind of perspective, you have to force yourself to be human because you're always Alma. At any second of any moment, you can go back to being Alma and you won't have no feelings. There will be no regret. there will be no sorrow, there will be no pain. And you see this all over the place in different movies and different stories. We hear this over and over, but you know what? The human part of ourselves, since we're trying to identify as this human being, we don't want to let go. We don't want to let go of these emotions, and that's pretty good too. See, when you're self-actualized, you can't lose because you can't die. So if you allow your consciousness to identify as being a human, and the fear that you're going to die and not exist ever again, that's only an illusion. It's not real. And because you can't die. When you understand the truth of what we are, you will never, ever, a lot of fear and the things that you go through they don't exist. Like for me, a lot of this stuff, I hear people saying certain things, I'm looking at them and going, my God, you actually believe that? And that's why I say the name of my book is the power of belief. Because it actually, and even now, even though I wrote that book, it has a totally different meaning for me now. Because now I realize that it's all an illusion. So now, the power of now and living in the now moment in this life is so much more important, and so much, I value it so much more. And so that's why they say when you become spiritually actualized, you value life so much more, because you know that this life cycle that you have is, when it's gone, it's gone. You're not going to remember none of these people. Don't let these people tell you about this ancestors coming back and all this crap. Alma don't have no time for that. That's bull crap. None of it's never going to happen, and nobody has ever come back and ever said any of this foolishness unless they have heard it for 30, 40, 50, 20, 60, however many years they've heard it, and so they believe it, so they conjure it up to make it real. Because the power of belief makes whatever you believe real, or it has the appearance of reality. But baby, it's all fairy tale. And I don't care who, what superstition, they could bring voodoo, vadong, and all this other stuff. Baby, I am aware and I am self-actualized. And you can't BS me. You cannot BS me with that. Because I know what I am. And I know how powerful I really am. And I know to my core what I am. And I'm not afraid of it. In fact, I'm the exact opposite. I'm so powerful because I know you ain't nothing you can do to me. Ain't nothing you can do, we can do to Ama. At the end of every road, I'm omniscient. I know everything all the time at the same time. I am everywhere all the time at the same time. And all I got to do is let go, and I can fall back into that. All I got to do is let go, and I'm going to fall back into total knowledge of everything that exists at the same time. So I have to actually make an effort to stay here. By killing the body, you ain't did nothing to me. I'm back to where I started from. I got nothing to lose and everything to gain by staying here as an experience. As an experience. Only as experiences. But when I leave this form, don't matter. I'm gonna get some more experiences. And there's nothing nobody can do to stop that. Because Alma set it up. We set it up. And we are forever And there's nothing anybody can do to change that. These are called immutable laws, family. And once you believe in that, and you believe in self, and you believe in the totality and the force and the magnitude of this unbelievable order, it's unbelievable from a human form. But once you are functioning out of your Godhead or your Amma head as Amma, it's everything. And like I said, or like they have said in the past, when you walk with Amma, you walk with God, you fear no man. There's nothing to fear because you so big and bad and can't die. It's just unbelievable. It's very difficult to get people who are not self-actualized to comprehend the magnitude of what it is to be self-actualized. You have to be this to really value what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go. You understand? But you gotta understand that it's temporary. And when you move on into your next life, you're not gonna remember any of this. That lets you know you're an infinite being. And you're just gonna keep having new experiences because that's your purpose. You're here to have experiences. Now, you can control whether those experiences are going to be more good than bad. And you can't do that until you comprehend and you fully understand what you are. So now, when I said that you can choose whether it's going to be more good or bad, is the difference between you spending more time. And this is the beauty of becoming self-actualized, family. Once you become self-actualized, you no longer have the doubts. You no longer have the fears, and you no longer have the confusion that the religions infect you with because they know you don't know. But once you know, once you wake up and you realize you can never die, and that all of this human experience is beautiful and wonderful, and you now take charge of it and you redirect it away from doubt and fear and helplessness and hopelessness, because if you don't believe in Jesus, then there's nothing you can do that's going to be right. And that's a damn lie. You are a kick-ass, powerful entity already, period. So this bullshit, this nonsense about Jesus and some going to heaven and a hell and all that stupid nonsense, now all of that is gone. Nobody can even convince me to even, when they say that, I would look at them and laugh and say, you sound like a moron. Because let me explain to you what you are, because you obviously don't know, because the fact that you even fix your mouth to say something like that to me, and see, it's difficult for them to, if you tell them, you say, look, I'm a self-actualized spiritual being in this human form. They don't even know what the hell you're talking about, because they're parroting their religion, they're parroting Christianity, they're parroting the Bible crap that's all they've ever known. So they don't have no wisdom. They're parroting the fairy tale. And so where you would not even be, you just look at them and almost laugh at them because they're so lost and they have no power. Because all of their power, they've given it in their mind because they believe that the power is in some outside entity that does everything for them. And so they have to be helpless, hopeless, blind, walking dead people. Because they're not alive. They're not proactive. They're not promoting and functioning out of a proactive, self-actualized, infinite, spiritually powerful, unlimited being. They're functioning as a helpless, hopeless sheep or cow that can't do nothing for itself, and the religion teaches them that. So you can look at them, and my thing is, I try to help them to understand. You need to take that indoctrination and that pablum and go talk to some baby. Go find some dumb cow or some sheep that ain't got no power and weak and helpless. Go talk to them, because talking to me, you're wasting your time, because you ain't ever going to convince me to give up my power and allow you to do what? It's just like, get out of here. Are you crazy? Yes, they are crazy. Okay, let's go on. And why you're here. These are your primal purposes, is to know what you are, wake up to what you are, and to realize you're here to have these human experiences. And without this human form vehicle, you can't have that. You cannot experience these things. Okay? So notice here, more validation. He asked the questions. He said, which means you can create, or I think he said over here, you are an unlimited creator, okay? Which means you can create for yourself what you do not want. Now that's a spinoff. That's a spinoff from his last statement here. You are an unlimited creator, okay? Which means you can create for yourself what you do not want, okay? And that process in and of itself sounds bad, but it's not bad. See, if it were not for this human form, if it were not for Alma peeling a piece of itself off and creating us, the micro being, right, that is attached to this human form, if Alma had not done that, we would never be able to experience mistakes, pain, doubt, fear. Because as a perfect spiritual, infinite spiritual being, none of these things are possible. And Alma tells you that right here. It says right here, look at what Alma says. Alma says, it is because of your perfection, okay, that this is possible, okay? Which means you can create for yourself what you do not want. And Alma is saying it is because of your perfection that you can create things that you do not want. And what perfection is Alma talking about? You're exactly what Alma wanted us to be. And that's why I say in and of ourselves, with all of our mistake making, and not us, but the flesh, the instinctive intelligence of the flesh form, it makes these decisions and is impacting the intuitive intelligence and the decision making of the intuitive intelligence. And so you're making mistakes because, remember, our memory has been wiped. So we don't know exactly how to do the things that we are organically, intuitively, we already know these things. But our memory has been wiped by Alma so that we could create for ourselves what we do not want. And that is on purpose. So we can have these experiences, family. You've got to understand this so that bad is not as bad as you think. When you look at it from this perspective, then it's not as bad as you think it is. But because once you beat back the babble and the deadness of their Bible, then you can come into the reality of what you are, and you can now focus on the true dynamics of this relationship and this interplay between perfection and imperfection. And that imperfection was designed to give you the experiences that we have. And you cannot have these experiences unless you are allowed to forget and then have the journey, experience the journey of learning. Because look here, what it says. See here, it says you can create what you do not want. It says you can now. Only word you should have put in parentheses is now create, because before you couldn't do this. As a perfect infinite being, you can't create what you do not want. It's not possible. You're perfect. And that's why he says in the next line, it is because of your perfection that this is possible. But the perfection that Alma's talking about is the perfection that it created when it created us, the micro being, and put the micro being in this finite form that is full of problems. Okay? See? And it's because of your perfection that this is possible. In other words, you're perfect. You're perfectly designed to be doing exactly what you're doing by Alma. That's why Alma says, because of your perfection. Your perfection is the perfection that Alma says that you're perfect. You're perfect relative to what Alma wanted you to be. You are exactly what Alma wanted us to be. And family, that's the most one of the most important things in this that I have interpreted. We are. How could Alma say we're perfect? Perfect for who? Perfect for Alma. From Alma's perspective, we're perfect because we're doing exactly what Alma can't do. Alma cannot create for itself things that it do not want. It can only create things it wants. Perfectly. A perfect being can only do perfect things all the time. So it has to create something that is designed to be imperfect. And so it'll design a perfect, imperfect thing. I know, family, it's, but this is deep stuff, family. This is stuff that when you're bogged down in Bible and BS, you can't even get your head around this kind of stuff. And that's what that Bible is designed to do, to keep you bogged down. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing in reality. It's not, because there is no good and there's no bad from Alma's perspective. It just is. It's the flesh created that, and the flesh is imperfect. So the flesh is going to create imperfect documents like their Bible, which is an imperfect document by design. So that's why I'm saying you don't murder them, you don't kill them, because if it were not for that imperfect Bible, we would not be able to enjoy this journey of discovering what we really are and the true powers that we have. Now we get to discover it, awaken to it. Now we have to validate it, and then we got to begin to inculcate it into our everyday activities and our meditations, and now function as Eckhart Tolle teaches us to identify with that perfectness that we actually are, that we can only see because it's juxtaposed against imperfection, against their Bible that is full of lies and misdirection and nonsense. And because of that nonsense and misdirection, you can see what the real truth is. So you have to have balance. Their negativity and their weakness and their intentional training and indoctrination to make people helpless, weak, and dependent on something outside of itself. See, because of that whole effort, now we can, when you realize what you really are, you can see the difference. And family, this is only possible because you use first principle, critical thinking skills, and logic, and your own judgment that you were born with. Okay? Because critical thinking will allow you to ask the right question, and the answer is going to jump right out at you, especially when you're using first principle. And you get rid of the superstition. You get rid of the paranoid conspiracy crap about some heaven and some hell. That's all paranoid conspiracy nonsense. It don't exist. So if you don't have that blocking your vision and confusing the living hell out of you, then you can see very clearly, and you can value the mistakes that the human form is making, that you have to, and in the next part, he's going to say, Aaron's going to say that, I am in awe, which is a misnomer, trying to say that the Amma is in awe of the human and the micro being, because it says something to the effect that you create solutions to problems I cannot have. And see, this is what I'm saying. A perfect, infinite being cannot create problems. It can only create perfectly balanced, perfect things. Can't create problems. But that's why their metaphorical story that they're trying to say in this book, Erin is saying, I am in awe. They're saying that God is saying, or Amma is saying, that I am in awe of you, because look, you can create solutions, and that throws you off. Instead of it saying you are designed to be imperfect, and so you actually, what it should have said is, you create problems that you have to find solutions to. And so that whole journey and that whole adventure, mentally or whatever, to solving problems is, Amma is saying, see, I can't, and it said, I cannot create problems. That's what Amma said. The core of what Amma is saying in this next part is, I cannot create problems. I don't have the capacity to create problems. At least that's the lesson they're trying to teach us here, so that we will value this human experience more. See, that's the beauty of this book, family, is, I know I'm taking a long way around the block, but the point I'm trying to make to you is, when you become spiritually self-actualized, you value every second of every day, because you realize you're now capable of experiencing imperfection, which is something you cannot do in our essence. In our essential self, we can never create problems, and we can never experience sadness, because we can never experience death. We can't experience life. We can't experience success. We can't experience any of these things unless you're in human form. So now you value, wow, every second of every moment. Even if somebody gets angry at you, you're like, wow, look at that person's angry at me. Look, I'm experiencing anger. I'm experiencing fear. I'm experiencing danger. I'm experiencing excitement. I'm experiencing discovery. Everything is an experience. So the concept of an experience, you learn to value, because you realize once you leave this human form and you bounce back, and you for that nanite of a second that you are Amma again, as they're going to say here, you don't have no experiences at all, period, none. See, that's what, if the Bible and these religions would teach that, and this education system would teach this, life in America and all over the world would be totally different. And that's okay too. That we have all of this work to do, because now work becomes an experience. Every day, every step, every small little step, now you value more, because you realize that if it were not for this human form and this life cycle that you are experiencing here, and that's why we say we are micro spiritual beings, infinite micro beings, having a human experience. This experience is so valuable, family. So now you can cut out the heaven and the hell and the apocalyptic end of the world. None of that scares you no more. And you're no longer scared to tell people, I get out of here. That's nonsense. I'm too busy having a good time enjoying this experience. And now, as a proactive, self-actualized, spiritual being having a human experience, you ain't gonna let nobody get in the way and mess up your ride. See, and that's what you need to teach your children, because now your children will value life so much more, and they will be free and they will be encouraged to experience the full breadth of the emotional capacity of the human form. Love, forgiveness, understanding, compassion, empathy. See, these are the things that these gangs and these killers and these murderers and these filthy brutes, they cut you off from your experiences. And see, as a self-actualized infinite being, you don't let nobody cut you off from your experiences. And so now you take charge and you are proactive and you promote whatever you want, because you know you can't die. And you know that all you got is right now, this experience you having right now. So when you love somebody, you love them good, you go ahead and get in there. See? And when you're going to have a good friend, you get in there and see, now you can allow your friends to do certain things, because even if they're not aware of it, it's about your experiences. It's about you enjoying your experiences. So one day, maybe they will wake up, but in the meantime, you don't let that mess up you enjoying your experiences. You get in there and you get your experiences in, and you don't let nobody mess that up. Okay? See, you're self-actualized now. Your priorities are so much different. You value things on a totally different level, family. This is the gift of what I'm doing with these YouTube movies. I want you guys to be able, folks, to be able to fully value and fully appreciate the power of the experiences you are having right now. And so from the time you see this video and you go out in life, everything should be totally different now, because you can't die. And all you are here to do is experience stuff. And now you're going to do it in a much bigger and much totally expansive way. And you don't let nobody cut you off from your experiences. I'm going to wrap this up with this one, and hopefully I'll see what else is left, and we'll take it from there. Now, you know you're an infinite being, and you prove it to yourself every night when you go to sleep, because your body's out of it, and yet you don't even need rest. Your body needs rest, not you. See? And you can't experience any pain, love, or any of that stuff until you're in this body or in your dream, believing that you're in your body. And then you're remembering that it has these feelings and this sense. Because otherwise, if you didn't do that in and of yourself, you're not capable of experiencing fear, doubt, weakness, pain, none of that. Sadness, love, ecstasy, and all, none of that. We're not capable of doing that. It is only when we're in this flesh form and we're on that coin, we're half of that coin that is directly connected and smashed up against this human form, this human form here, folks. So when I say it's a dumb brute, I'm just telling you what it is. But that doesn't mean it doesn't serve a purpose. It serves a very vital purpose, because you're a perfect being having a human experience in this human form. Okay? So all of these creating things which we do not want, that comes from this human form. And you need to create things that you do not want so you can get away from this perfection thing. See, Alma wants to get away from being perfect. Alma wants to experience things that it do not want. It wants to be able to make mistakes. Alma can't make mistakes otherwise until it's in this human form. I hope I can get you to comprehend the value of this realization, family. This is skull-splitting, and it will completely destroy the helplessness and the weakness of their Bible. Because now you know you are a perfect being. You're so perfect, you had to create an imperfect flesh form just so you can experience imperfection. That's how perfect you are. You weren't capable of experiencing imperfection without this human form here. Please, I hope you can get your head around this, because there is a domino effect from that realization and that identification with that reality, okay, of what you are and your capacity as a perfect being. See, that now allows you to kind of relax and not get too twisted over things that are going wrong, because otherwise you would never be able to experience these things. Talk about an aha moment. That's the reason why I'm doing this video, family. Okay, now let's move on. Let's dig into this thing. Let's get into what Erin is expressing here that gives more validation. Because look what it says here, next line. If I limited humans, the human form. Notice he said humans, not spiritual beings, humans, to only being able to create what you would call goodness, you would not be me. Because Alma says that Alma cannot do good or bad. Alma can only do all at once, everything. Alma's not capable of doing distinguish and doing separation. Alma can't do, it's not capable of that. Alma is everything all the time at the same time, all the time. Get your head around that. Not capable of doing only one thing and not the other. So when Alma created the human, it created the human to do both. Because Alma's not capable of creating something that can only do one. Not capable of doing that. See, we're so busy thinking about Alma's omniscience and knowing everything and omnipresent, being everywhere at the same time, and the power to create whatever it wants. You never thought about the fact that Alma could create limitation. Alma can't create it. Alma has to create something else that can create it by mistake. See, Alma can't do it. And that's why Alma said, don't look at me. He said, you did that. Alma said, no, you did that. Don't put that shit on me, because I can't do limited. Your flesh form. Now, when he said you, it not mean you, the micro being. It means the flesh form that Alma put you in now gives you the capacity to experience limitation. And it's still not you doing it. It's the flesh form that it created, whose function is to be imperfect. This is heavy stuff, family. This is heavy revelation. I want you to get your heads around this, okay? So, look what it says here. So if I limit him, so Alma did not limit us. Alma set it up so the human form could limit itself. Or in its interaction with the micro being, which is an unlimited being, and that memory has been wiped. Your memory has been wiped when you incarnated into this human form. Okay, so because your memory is been wiped, the human form gets a chance to dominate and create imperfection, because it's an imperfect temporary being. And it's designed to be the opposite of the infinite perfect being, which is an aspect of Atma. My concept, okay? So look what it says here. I have given humans, it didn't say micro beings, okay? I have given humans a gift. What is this gift? The gift is an opportunity to learn. Why? Because once you enter the human form, you forget. And because you have forgotten, now you have to be taught. And in order for you to get what you're taught, you have to learn. So that's why Amma says, I have given you a gift, the human form, a gift, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to find themselves. There it is. Your memory has been wiped as a micro being. So this is where Erin reveals that he hasn't made the distinction between the micro being and the human form. Because Erin is saying, it's trying to speak for God and saying that God gave humans? No. God didn't give humans anything. God gave everything to the micro being. The human was created with all of these flaws built into it because it's a finite being with an instinctive intelligence in it, running it, full of mistakes and flaws. But the spiritual being that was put into that human form is perfect. See? So when Amma says, I have given the human, in other words, yes, the human has been designed to project the experience of learning to who? The human doesn't learn by itself. The human can't even exist by itself because it only exists because there is a being inside of it, running, providing the power that allows it to live. Because once the spirit leaves, the body dies. So the human that he's talking about here is actually the micro being that is within the human form. So the entity is really saying two things here. I have given the human, in other words, I've given the micro being a human form that allows the micro being to experience through the human form opportunities to learn, because your memory is wiped, right? To grow, because your human form grows through stages. Now that's a growth process that's given to the human form as well as to the micro being, because you have to be reminded what you are. So through this whole 100-year cycle, within this life cycle of this human form, you get to remember, and that's growth. Growth and learning is the same thing to me, okay? But here's the key thing. You have an opportunity to find yourself. That means to be reawakened and remember that you are an infinite, perfect being having a human experience. Yourself that it's talking about, that's your infinite spiritual being. That's the your it's talking about. Because remember, Amma said the human form is not real because it's temporary. So it says you got to find yourself, find themselves. Human form don't find nothing. The spiritual being finds itself. That's the correction I have to give here. And to love each other, or to experience love itself. See? So family, I can't say this enough, how powerful this statement is when it's interpreted properly. The domino, or the the feedback from this comprehension is so enlightening, and so it empowers you more, and it validates more your infiniteness and that you cannot die. And it gives you a totally paradigm shift in your perspective on and the value you have of this life and this human form, and with all of its, but now you can value the flaws where you would try to run away from them based on their Bible. You would try to run away from these flaws and, oh, I don't want to be bothered with this. No, you will value it now. You still overcome it. And it's easier for you to overcome now because you know it's not really real. Okay? So it's much easier for you to overcome, because you know it's not you. It's something that you're experiencing, and it's just a matter of you putting the right vision in your mind repeatedly and putting in the emotions, and it'll be gone. Simple as that. And you're awakened to this power and authority that you have now. And now all you got to do is just validate it to yourself. Build the muscle, because it's like a muscle you haven't been using. So now you got to exercise this muscle by repeatedly trying it over and over and over again until it starts to work. And it will work, because that's what you are. You were born with this capacity, okay? So now, and to love each other, okay? And Amma says, you are awed by my creation, the creations you call nature, but nature was created with the greatest of ease, because I have complete knowing of myself and my creative abilities. Okay, now see here, this is another thing I wanted to emphasize here. Amma don't have the capacity to move away from having complete knowing. In other words, Amma always has complete knowing and can't get away from it. And when it says, and in the next line, you're going to see here that Amma says right here, if you notice, Amma says, I am awed by human creations because you are creating solutions to problems I do not have. It's not do not, I cannot have. I can never create a problem. That's what Amma's not telling you, that it can never create a problem. It can never not be completely aware of knowing of itself. It always is aware of its creative capacity, and it can never not know that. So, but what Amma created for the micro being, and that's why Amma said, I am in awe. And this is poetic license. This is a metaphorical story. It's not real, but it teaches us gives us this capacity to have this critical thinking and have this realization that Amma, now we can fully understand, oh wow, all this time I was so busy being in awe of Amma's capacity to do whatever it wants, and having this infinite ability to create, an infinite ability to know, an infinite ability to be everywhere at the same time. We never thought about the opposite, that we never thought about the fact that Amma is incapable of stopping this stuff. And actually, Amma figured out a way how to stop it by creating us, by creating a microcosmic aspect of itself and putting it in repeatedly and forever in an infinite cycle of reincarnation into flesh form. So now an aspect of Amma can experience not knowing, can it finally experience not having experienced the ability of not having complete knowing of itself. See, it says right here, it says human creation, because you are creating solutions to problems I do not have. And it's not that I cannot have these problems. See? And that's why it says you are in awe of my creations and the creations you call nature, but nature was created with the greatest of ease because I can never not be perfect. That's why this piece right here, what Amma says right here, you are in awe of my creation, the creation you call nature, but it says, but nature was created with the greatest ease because I have complete knowing. But what Amma's not saying that is I can never not have complete knowing. I will always have complete knowing. I wish I could get away from having complete knowing like you. And that's why Amma said I'm in awe, because by human, he means the micro being in human forms, and the human form allowing the micro being to experience, creating solutions to problems. Because Amma said, I cannot have problems. So Amma, poetic license, Amma is like saying, I'm in awe of you. Because at least you can experience problems. At least you can experience death. And it goes on in the next part to say that death is an illusion and life is an illusion. Because to Amma, these things are not real. They can't be real because Amma can never die. Amma can never be born. Born into life, Amma can never be, because Amma is always alive, always conscious. Always, can never not be conscious, so can never not die, can never not have complete knowing of itself. Amma is always consistently aware, all the time, just that we are always aware. We could never sleep. The body has to sleep, but if you look at your dreams, you're not sleeping. Your body's not in the game. It's gone. It's sleeping. It's exhausted. It's worn out. But your consciousness and your awareness, you're watching the dreams. That's because now when you go to sleep, you're back bonded with the macro being, which is Amma. See, you can't even get away from yourself ever. You never stop being conscious as a micro being, because as a micro being, you're an aspect of Amma, and Amma can never not be. That's what it says. I have complete knowing of myself and my creative capabilities. And I have complete knowing of it, means I can never not know. See, so you gotta have that critical thinking skill and and that ability to break things down to first principle, so you can see that what Amma is not telling you. See. In this, and this is Amma trying to speak through some human micro being in a human form, so there's always going to be, but see, as micro beings, we have the capacity to comprehend this stuff. We're just remembering it. We already know it. We never forgot it, but we did forget it, but we were designed to forget, because otherwise Amma can't forget. So Amma created the micro being so the micro being could forget. And that's part of this human experience. And I think I've said it enough here. And the rest of it, you can watch the rest of the movie and you're going to, you'll see it again. But I wanted to just do this part here, family, so that I can make sure that I drilled home these points, because I think this will be the last time I'm going to cover this book, I hope. And because I hope I've given you, I think with this critique, this final critique, I think I've drilled home the key points about Amma's inability to not be perfect. And that is the purpose for us as micro beings in human form. So the human is more valuable to us. Our micro being infiniteness is more clearly drawn out in this video. And I have hammered it again and again and again that we could never not be. And in every aspect of you going to sleep and dreaming and witnessing the dream, this is proof, family, that you can never not be. Even as a micro being, and we're just a nanite of the macro being, as a micro being in human form. We are just a nanite of the macro being, and we still can never not be. This family, this is so clear. Stevie Wonder, we say a joke, Stevie Wonder, a blind man can see this. But actually, a blind man could probably see it faster because we have all these visions and all these things, these sensations coming into our eyes, distracting us, which is a good thing. Because as a micro being, an aspect of Alma, a perfect infinite being, it's almost refreshing to not know. But even for a little while, which is a life cycle, it is a nanite. To an infinite being, 100 years is a nanite. To the billions of years, the trillions of years of consciousness, of incessant, non-stop consciousness and awareness that never, ever ends. Sounds so great and powerful, but when you think about it never, ever ending, and you have no way to stop it, then the creation of a micro being in human form is so much more powerful and so much more valuable. And this is what it means to be self-aware, family. This is what it means to be self-actualized. And this is what it means to project and take total control of every aspect of your life. Because now you have the total wisdom and awareness of what we are, who we are, why we are, and how where we are, and how this whole system works. Okay, family, I'm going to end this movie here. I'm going to wish you one love, and I'll see you in the next video.